Babe, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. That sounded formal.
I'm tired.
Tired.
I'm always tired, I feel like, but I'm sleepy today.
Yeah, you're sleepy because we've had a pretty action-packed weekend, which is what I wanted to start this podcast off asking you about. So, as we record this, it is the 2 days after Thanksgiving. And what I was going to ask you is, now that we've come full circle and we've had Thanksgiving days or Thanksgiving years where we had little kids, we've done it at our house with family coming to visit us. We've done it where we've taken little kids and visited family in other states. And now this is the first year we've ever done it where we've had kids in other states with their married significant others, and we went there to do it. So this is the first year that Bethany and Eric, they hosted Thanksgiving for Caleb and Delaney, us, your mom and Robert,
His parents,
Eric's parents, Eric's grandmother,
and Joshua.
So of all the three scenarios where we were little, the kids were little, we had everybody at our house, we loaded the kids up and went to people's houses, or we just loaded ourselves up and came here, what do you prefer?
Honestly, whatever makes it easier for all of us to be together, because Thursday with all of us here, Caleb, Delaney, Bethany, Eric, Joshua, like all my kids and their spouses in the same room, I wouldn't care who had to host it as long as that can happen. I mean, and this year, it was just easier for us to come here than for the four of them to try to make it up to Kentucky. So, I mean, we did kind of a potluck. So all the pressure wasn't just on Bethany to get all the cooking and stuff done. Eric's parents brought stuff. We made some stuff when we got here. Eric and Bethany made a couple of things, and then Delaney and Caleb brought some stuff. So it was the work of the dinner, I feel like, was shared throughout, but Bethany and Eric having it at their house, I feel like was just more of a central, convenient location. But I don't really care if we had to have it at a McDonald's as long as we could all hang out and be together and see each other.
So part two to this question is, how lots of families say things like, when the kids grow up and get gone, that, they have to share holidays. So, like, for instance, with Eric and Bethany or Caleb and Delaney, they should have to come to our house. Like, if they come to our house for Christmas, then they go to their significant other's house the next Christmas or all that. To me, it's easier for the two of us and Joshua to just pack up and come here to see all four of them. Would you be up for that, or do you feel like it has to be fair that they have to come to our house for one and we come here?
No, I mean, like I said, I think it makes more sense for us to come here. Because I remember growing up, we tried to do that, Christmas, and we all lived in the same city. So it was like Christmas Eve with your parents, and then we go to my mom's for Christmas Day. And then, the next year we had to try to remember what we did the year before so we didn't hurt anybody's feelings and all that. And I would love for my kids to want to be with me on the holidays, but I also understand they have another whole half of their family to worry about, to deal with. And I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, as long as I get to see them at some point, it doesn't have to be on the holiday. Because, you know me, which is weird, but because I was raised in such a traditions kind of family, but I don't really have traditions. I just want to see my kids when I can. So if it's the day before Christmas or the day after Christmas or 2 days after Christmas or New Year's or whatever, as long as I get to see them, it doesn't matter to me if it's on the actual holiday.
Yeah.
Which our holidays are tricky because of all the birthdays. Like Bethany's birthday is December 11th. Delaney's birthday is December 14th. Then you and Caleb are December 26th. And then Eric is in January. So it's like trying to incorporate the holidays into the birthdays and all that. So without, being able to make them all feel special. But it's kind of hard when you got all the holidays and stuff going on.
Yeah. Which I think next episode we're going to be talking about Bethany's birthday with Bethany. However, I'm a little salty this year because this year I turned 50.
I changed my mind. We will not do that. We're not.
Caleb gets to pick where we go eat. That's not fair.
I'm not. We're going to change it. He didn't even pick. I was going to surprise him. Delaney and I were trying to plan something.
I'm just kidding. He can pick.
You're going to have to cut that out.
No, I'm not going to cut it out.
Well, Caleb doesn't know that that's what we were planning.
Well, you didn't say where we're going, so yes, Delaney, Caleb's wife, picked the restaurant that Caleb would love to eat at. That's where we're going. It's a family
because for the last 2 years we've not been able to be with Caleb on his birthday.
I get it.
Because of work and all the other things, but I finally have a job now where I'm off on the holidays, and so if my kids, of course, Bethany teaches, so she's off during holidays too. But Caleb, he's not always off on the holidays, so
yeah. Enough talking about family and holidays and all travel and all that stuff. Let's talk about Maker's Mark Distillery.
Oh yeah, that was so much fun. Welcome to Loving Our 25 to Life. I'm Heather.
And I'm Bo. Together we've been married over 25 years.
Yeah, baby!
And this is where we talk about life, love, and all the adventures we have had along the way.
Oh, wow.
Whether we're sharing stories from our marriage or taking you along one of our trips, we're here to reflect on how we've made it this far and where we are headed next.
So grab a seat, settle in, and let's dive into another episode of Loving Our 25 to Life.
So we went to Maker's Mark a couple weeks ago. Bo had signed up. I had kind of forgotten. I'm sure you remembered because you've been following your barrel. But several years ago, when we still lived in Knoxville, Bo signed up for the Maker's Mark ambassador thing, where you kind of are like assigned to a barrel, and that's your barrel, or you're part owner of that barrel, and you kind of follow that. They send you updates of when certain things are happening with your barrel, and then when your barrel has matured and they bottled it, they send you information, and you can go do a free tour and get bottles from your barrel. So we did that a few weeks ago, and it was really cool. I'd never been to Maker's Mark. I've been to probably 100 distilleries, but never Maker's Mark, and I had always wanted to go. I've always loved the little, what's it called? The red stuff on top of the bottle.
The wax seal.
Yeah, the wax seal has always kind of intrigued me. So we took a day off. It was a Wednesday?
Mm-hmm. Two weeks ago, I had taken the week off just because I had some time that I needed to get to use or lose. So I just took that week off, and it happened that actually you had said, since you're off that whole week, you were going to take off like that Wednesday and Thursday too. So you said, let's go to Maker's Mark. You've never been. And I said, okay, well, so you booked a tour, and then you happened to say, check your ambassador thing to see if it's up. And I said, I don't think it's up yet. And I looked, and sure enough, it was. It had just come due like a week or two before that. So yeah, we canceled your tour, and I signed up. And so we got pretty much a private tour. It was just the two of us and our tour guide. It
was amazing. Her name was Kim, and she was really funny and very knowledgeable and very personable. I mean, by 10 minutes into the tour, I just felt like she was one of our friends showing us around the place.
Mm-hmm. So where do you rank Maker's Mark from all the distilleries that you've gone to?
At the top. I did. So before Maker's Mark, Old Forester was my favorite, just because of the skylight and the still, and we had a really good tour there. I mean, Woodford and Four Roses are super beautiful. Like, their campuses are gorgeous, but it was just, and it might have been the Maker's Mark thing, because we did have such a special tour, and I feel like we may have been able to go to places that some people weren't able to go because there were only two of us, but it was just really special and really nice, and it's just really pretty out there. And the history of it, I'm not usually much of a history person, but the way Kim got into the history of it and talked about how it got bought and started and all that, it was, I don't know, it was really interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of big into the history of distilleries and things like that. So I mean, some of my favorites are Buffalo Trace. There's a ton of history there. Maker's Mark, obviously. But I do like some of the craft distilleries like Neely Family and all those. There's a ton of history there as well. So that's your first time to go. What, like, on the tour itself, what was your favorite part of the tour?
I don't know. I probably watching them do the line where they do the seals, like watching the professionals, the way they could just like take bottle after bottle and dip it. And there's a certain way, you know, you dip it, you turn it to the side, you spin it, and then you set it down. And then that way the wax falls a certain way or whatever. But it was really cool just watching how they did that. And they all seemed to be having fun doing their job, even though I'm sure to them their job is monotonous. It was really cool for us to watch that. Yeah.
And you got to dunk a bear.
I did get to dunk one under extreme supervision.
Yeah, they're pretty they're pretty hardcore about that. Yeah, so I just really I'm at the point in my bourbon journey or whatever you want to call it that I'm kind of past going just to distillery after distillery. Most of them kind of have the same story. They want to tell you what bourbon is and, you know, how it's made. And so all of that's going to be the same if you go to Four Roses or Old Forester or Neely Family or wherever you want to go. It's the process is the same. You know, they show you the mash, they show you the barrels, all that stuff. I'm kind of at the point where I just like the differences in what they do. And there's a couple of distilleries around here that offer different experiences. Like, for instance, Whiskey Thief, you can go there and they draw it straight from the barrel for you. So as you taste different things there, it's everything straight out of the barrel. Like I've mentioned Neely Family a couple of times, but one of the things they do is you can bottle your own from a barrel. You know, so if you wanted to buy a bottle there, you can actually thieve it yourself from the barrel. And there's just a lot of different experiences like that I like. And I think Maker's Mark is one of those, like the being able to do your own wax is kind of cool. But I just love the campus there too. I think it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite parts of it is when you go into that very last rick house after your tasting, and that rick house with all the stained glass or whatever it is on the ceiling, you know, that you kind of see. But the other thing that I think is pretty neat when you talk about the history of Maker's Mark is that 90% of what makes Maker's Mark what it is today is based on not Bill Samuels Sr., who started it, but his wife Margie. She was the artistic person behind it. So everything that makes Maker's Mark what it is today was established by his wife.
Which during that time period was very unusual. So, and the way Kim told the story and guided us and stuff, by the end of the tour, I just felt like I knew Margie, and she was like one of my heroes. She just, to do what she did during that time period when women were probably supposed to be seen and not heard, I just thought was kind of amazing. And the fact that he let her help and be so instrumental in that was really neat.
Yeah. And just the fact that one of the coolest things I think about this, and I just love the history of all the distilleries and the history of bourbon and the history of whatever. But, you know, he came from, his family owned another distillery or was significantly a part of another distillery. And whenever he started Maker's Mark, he left that distillery, and instead of taking the recipe that he had, he burned that recipe and started over with a wheated bourbon, which at the time, I think it probably wasn't as popular as it is today, you know, just wheated bourbons. But, you know, starting that from scratch and making their recipe different than what the industry standard was, I think is pretty pretty cool. But also, I don't want to give this away because I want people to go there and take the tour, and I want people to, like, the point of us talking about this and the videos that I do online and stuff isn't to give stuff away, but it's to intrigue people's, pique people's interest. But when Kim told us Bill Samuels and Margie Samuels bought the 200-acre lot in, what was it, 1950?
I don't remember.
It was in the 50s. But to hear what they paid for it was an actual working distillery at the time, and 200 acres came with it. To hear what they paid for that is astonishing.
Yeah,
so,
and then to see what they've done with it. But what's cool is they've done a lot with it as far as modernizing it, but they've also kept a lot of the history of it. Like they still use some older parts that were actually used back then. Mm-hmm. They're using today without any modification. I mean, there's been upkeep and that kind of thing, but there's not been modification. So there are certain parts of this distillery you can go into, and they're still using what they were using, 75 years ago, 50 years ago, something like that.
And if you're a bourbon geek like I am, or whatever, what I think is pretty neat is a lot of distilleries have different mash bills. So the mash bill, for those who aren't bourbon curious or whatever, the mash bill is what your grain is made up. So if it's a wheated bourbon, it's made up of, corn, it's made up of wheat, barley, whatever. And so a lot of distilleries will have many different recipes for all the products that they come out with. Maker's Mark has one recipe, and it is a wheated bourbon, but out of that, they've come up with several different, very different tasting products. And so I just think that's pretty neat that you would think the same liquid that they distill day in and day out that comes off the still, they can do like 10 different things with it. And I think that's pretty interesting.
Yep. So I was looking at my calendar. So this one will come out on the 2nd, right? Which is Monday.
Right.
The next week on the 9th, we're going to release a special one because Bethany's birthday is on the 11th. So what we want to do is the week of our kid's birthday, release one. So the one on the 9th will be about Bethany from birth to now. And then the week of the 23rd will be Caleb's, because his birthday's the 26th.
Yep.
All about Caleb till now.
Yep.
So that's going to be our next few. And right now we're at Bethany's house. We've had a packed weekend. Mom and Robert left this morning with Joshua to head back to Kentucky. I'm staying till tomorrow. Bo will come home Tuesday. But Bethany, in Bethany fashion, decided about 10 minutes ago to go take a nap. So she's napping. And when she wakes up, we'll do her podcast for next week. But I'm very proud of her. This is the first nap she's taken, and she's had a lot going on, and she and Eric both have done such a great job of letting us come in and their house when we got here the other day was just spotless and clean, and everything was nice. And now if you look around, there's mostly our crap is everywhere. Yeah.
One of the best things to me about being a dad of adult kids is now I get to go to their house and destroy it and leave my stuff everywhere.
It's not that bad. It
is pretty bad.
It is not that bad. It's just that we have a lot of stuff, and we've had to keep our stuff kind of in Bethany and Eric's room because Mom and Robert had the guest bed, but it's not bad. It's just, there are cups on the counter, and we've been playing games. So there are boxes of games everywhere. And we went shopping yesterday. The girls did, and had a blast. And so some of the stuff that we bought still sitting out in the foyer. So it's not nasty. It's just got stuff everywhere. But anyway, I digress.
Yep. So that's it. And hopefully if you ever get a chance to come up this way, you will visit the Maker's Mark Distillery. It's definitely worth your time, and especially if you're just into history. You don't even have to be into bourbon, really. If you're just into history and that kind of thing, then it's certainly worth your time.
Just don't pet their cat.
Well,
They have this really, really cute, precious cat. And when we got there, it was laying kind of in the display area on a, you could tell it was a keyboard, but it was a cat pad keyboard. So it was specifically for the cat to lay on,
right.
kind of its bed. And this guy walked up and pet the cat, and there's a sign right behind the cat that said something about don't pet Whiskey Jean. She doesn't like to be touched or something. She likes to be admired and not touched or something like that. And the guy was like, I guess I should have read that sign first. But they said she's not aggressive or anything. She just gets tired of people coming by and touching her. But she's a beautiful cat. Yeah. I wanted to take her home with me, but Bo wouldn't let me.
Yes, we cannot. And they have other animals too that, like, right to the side, they had a bunch of goats and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
they did. It's on a farm, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, go visit Maker's Mark if you get a chance. And other than that, that's all we have for you today. And like Heather said, next week we'll bring Bethany in and give her a
Maybe
shout.
She'll be awake from her nap by next week.
Yeah, hopefully. So until next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Love you.
Love you.
That's it for today's episode of Loving Our 25 to Life. Aww. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found something to take with you on your own journey.
Remember, love is an adventure. Sometimes it's wild, sometimes it's calm, but it's always worth it.
Yes!
If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who might need a little inspiration.
And don't forget to follow along for more episodes and vlogs documenting our travels, life lessons, and hopefully plenty of laughs.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep loving life because it is the greatest adventure of all. Bye for now.
Bye.